The ivory silk tablecloth gleamed under the crystal chandeliers as my sister Victoria's wedding reception reached its crescendo of celebration. I sat hidden behind an enormous floral arrangement, positioned at what the wedding planner had diplomatically called a more intimate table setting. Translation: far enough from the main party that my steroid-induced weight gain wouldn't ruin the professional wedding photos. Victoria looked radiant in her $8,000 designer gown, accepting congratulations from the 200 guests who had gathered to celebrate her marriage to Bradley, a corporate lawyer whose family owned half the commercial real estate downtown. The reception was everything she'd dreamed of: elegant, expensive, and completely centered around her vision of perfection. What didn't fit that vision was me, her older sister, dealing with the visible effects of 6 months of cancer treatment. "Oh darling, you look so much better than I expected," my Aunt Patricia whispered as she stopped by my table, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "Victoria was worried you might be too sick to attend, but here you are." I adjusted the silk scarf covering my bald scalp, a result of the aggressive chemotherapy regimen I'd been enduring for stage 2 breast cancer. The steroids prescribed to manage treatment side effects had caused significant weight gain and facial swelling, making me barely recognizable compared to my pre-diagnosis appearance. "I wouldn't miss Victoria's special day," I replied quietly, though the truth was I'd been dreading this event for weeks. My cousin Jennifer leaned over from the adjacent table. "It's so brave of you to come out in public like this. I mean, with everything you're going through, your little problem and all." The phrase "little problems" stung. That's how my family had been referring to my cancer diagnosis for months, as if stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma was equivalent to a mild inconvenience rather than a life-threatening disease requiring intensive treatment. "Victoria is being so understanding about everything," Patricia continued. "She even rearranged the seating chart to accommodate your situation. Very thoughtful of her to put you somewhere comfortable." By comfortable, she meant hidden. I was seated at the back corner table behind a wall of gladiolus and baby's breath, strategically positioned so that my appearance wouldn't detract from the wedding photos or upset guests who might find cancer treatment effects disturbing. From across the room I could see Victoria holding court at the head table, regaling her bridesmaids with animated stories. Every few minutes she would glance in my direction with an expression that mixed pity with mild irritation, as if my presence was a necessary inconvenience she was graciously tolerating. The DJ's voice boomed across the reception hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin the toast presentations. First, we'll hear from the bride's sister, Emma." I watched my younger sister Emma approach the microphone, her maid of honor dress a perfect shade of blush pink that complemented her naturally glowing complexion. She looked everything I used to look like before cancer treatment transformed my appearance. "When Victoria first told me about this wedding," Emma began, "she was so excited about creating the perfect day. She wanted everything to be beautiful, elegant, and memorable for all the right reasons." The guests murmured appreciatively as Emma continued her carefully rehearsed speech. "Of course, we've all had our challenges this year," Emma said, her eyes flickering toward my table. "Some family members have been dealing with personal issues that have been difficult for everyone. But Victoria has shown such grace in handling these distractions while planning her dream wedding." My heart sank as I realized that my cancer diagnosis was being framed as a distraction from Victoria's wedding planning rather than a serious medical crisis requiring family support. "Victoria has been so patient with family members who haven't been able to participate fully in the wedding preparations due to their health situations," Emma continued. "She's accommodated everyone's limitations with such understanding, even when it meant making compromises about her special day." The implication was clear. My cancer treatment had somehow inconvenienced Victoria's wedding plans, and she deserved praise for tolerating my limitations, rather than condemnation for treating my illness as a personal affront. Jennifer leaned over again. "It really is amazing how Victoria has handled everything with Rebecca's situation. I know it's been hard on the whole family having someone going through, well, all of that during such a happy time. All of that was chemotherapy, radiation planning, multiple surgeries, and the constant terror of potentially dying before my 35th birthday. But in the context of Victoria's wedding year, my fight for survival had been reframed as an unwelcome drama that threatened to overshadow her celebration. The most painful part was that this attitude wasn't new. From the moment I'd shared my diagnosis 8 months ago, My family had treated my cancer as an inconvenience rather than a crisis. When I'd asked Victoria to postpone the wedding so I could complete treatment without the added stress of wedding obligations, she'd accused me of being selfish and trying to steal her thunder. When I'd requested accommodations for my treatment schedule, asking to be excused from certain pre-wedding events that conflicted with chemotherapy appointments, my mother had suggested I was using cancer as an excuse to avoid family responsibilities. As Emma concluded her toast to enthusiastic applause, I noticed a commotion near the reception hall entrance. Several people in professional attire were speaking with the venue coordinator, their serious demeanor contrasting sharply with the celebratory atmosphere of the wedding. My stomach dropped as I recognized Dr. Michael Chin, the chief of oncology at University Medical Center, among the group. Beside him stood Dr. Sarah Williams, the hospital's chief medical officer, and several other figures I recognized from the medical center's executive board. What were they doing here? The venue coordinator approached the head table and spoke quietly to Victoria and Bradley. I watched Victoria's expression shift from confused to annoyed as she gestured in my direction, clearly indicating that whatever this was about, it involved me. Dr. Chin began walking toward my table, his expression grave in a way that made my blood run cold. Behind him, the other medical executives followed, creating a solemn procession that was beginning to attract attention from nearby wedding guests. "Rebecca," Dr. Chin said quietly as he reached my table, "I apologize for interrupting the celebration, but we need to speak with you immediately. There's been a development with your case that requires urgent discussion." My Aunt Patricia looked confused. "Excuse me, but who are you? This is a private family event." Dr. Chin straightened, his voice taking on the authoritative tone he used for hospital presentations. "I'm Dr. Michael Chin, Chief of Oncology at University Medical Center. I've been overseeing Rebecca's cancer treatment for the past 8 months." The words, "Chief of Oncology," seemed to echo across the nearby tables, causing conversations to pause as guests processed what they were hearing. Dr. Williams stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Sarah Williams, Chief Medical Officer. We've been trying to reach Rebecca about her latest pathology results, but when she didn't respond to our calls, we became concerned about her welfare." Victoria appeared at the table, her wedding dress rustling with agitation. "Excuse me, this is my wedding reception. Whatever medical appointment Rebecca missed can surely wait until after my special day." Dr. Chen's expression hardened as he looked at Victoria. "Miss Thompson, your sister has been undergoing treatment for aggressive breast cancer. The results we need to discuss with her are time-sensitive and potentially life-saving. This cannot wait for social convenience." The nearby tables had gone completely quiet, guests straining to hear what was unfolding. "Furthermore," Dr. Williams added, "we're concerned about the stress environment Rebecca has been experiencing. Our social work team reported that family pressures were impacting her treatment compliance and emotional well-being." Victoria's face flushed red. "Family pressures? We've been nothing but supportive. We even accommodated her health issues by seating her appropriately and—" "Seating her appropriately?" Dr. Chin interrupted, his voice sharp with disapproval. "You mean hiding her behind plants because cancer treatment side effects might detract from your wedding photos?" The accusation hung in the air as more guests turned to stare at our table. Dr. Williams pulled out a tablet and began scrolling through notes. "According to our records, Rebecca has missed 3 family therapy sessions we recommended because they conflicted with wedding-related obligations you insisted she attend despite her compromised immune system." Emma had joined the group, her maid of honor composure cracking. "Look, we understand Rebecca is dealing with health issues, but this is Victoria's wedding day. Can't this medical stuff wait?" Dr. Chen's response was ice cold. "Rebecca is not dealing with health issues. She is fighting for her life against an aggressive cancer that has required intensive chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and multiple surgical interventions. The fact that you're referring to terminal illness as health issues that should accommodate social events is medically and ethically appalling." Dr. Chin gestured to his colleagues, who began setting up what appeared to be a mobile presentation system on a nearby table. "Since Rebecca's family seems to misunderstand the severity of her condition, I think it's important to provide some medical education." Victoria looked panicked. "You cannot turn my wedding reception into a medical lecture. This is completely inappropriate." "What's inappropriate?" Dr. Williams replied firmly, is a family that treats cancer as an inconvenience to their social calendar. Dr. Chen activated a tablet connected to a portable projector, and suddenly my medical scans appeared on the wall behind the head table. The entire reception hall could see the stark black and white images of my chest cavity, with tumors clearly visible even to untrained eyes. These are Rebecca's diagnostic scans from 8 months ago, Dr. Chen announced to the now silent reception hall. Stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma with lymph node involvement. The tumor measured 4.2 centimeters at diagnosis. Gasps echoed across the room as guests finally understood the visual reality of what I'd been fighting. Dr. Williams stepped forward. Rebecca's treatment protocol has included 16 rounds of chemotherapy, 30 sessions of radiation therapy, and 2 surgical procedures. The side effects you've been treating as cosmetic inconveniences, the weight gain, hair loss, and fatigue, are the result of life-saving medical interventions. Victoria's face had gone pale. We didn't know it was that serious. Rebecca never explained. Because every time she tried to discuss her diagnosis, your family minimized it as personal issues or health problems, Dr. Chen replied sharply. Our social worker documented multiple instances where Rebecca was discouraged from discussing her cancer because it was bringing down the mood during wedding planning. He clicked to the next slide, showing my current scans. These are Rebecca's results from last week. The intensive treatment has been successful. We're seeing a 90% reduction in tumor mass and no evidence of metastatic spread. The room buzzed with murmurs of relief and confusion. However, Dr. Williams continued, what we discovered this week is even more remarkable. Rebecca's case has shown such exceptional response to treatment that we've been invited to present her outcomes at the International Breast Cancer Research Conference. She looked directly at Victoria. Your sister's treatment response has been so extraordinary that it's being studied by oncologists worldwide. She's not just surviving cancer, she's become a medical success story that could help save thousands of other women's lives. Dr. Chen pulled out another document. Furthermore, Rebecca has been selected for a clinical trial of a groundbreaking new treatment protocol. If successful, this trial could revolutionize breast cancer care. The research opportunity exists because of Rebecca's exceptional courage and compliance during treatment, despite facing family dismissal and isolation. My mother had appeared at the table, her face stricken with dawning understanding. We didn't realize. She seemed to be handling everything so well. She seemed to be handling it well because she's been protecting all of you from the reality of what she's experienced, Dr. Williams replied. Rebecca has been facing potential death while maintaining her job, managing treatment schedules, and accommodating family events that exposed her to infection risks during immunosuppression. Dr. Chen addressed the entire reception hall, his voice carrying the authority of decades of medical experience. I've been treating cancer patients for 25 years. I have never seen a patient demonstrate more courage, grace, and strength than Rebecca has shown while fighting for her life. And I have never seen a family treat a cancer patient's struggle as such an inconvenience to their social obligations. The silence that followed was deafening. Dr. Chen began packing up the medical equipment as the reception hall remained frozen in stunned silence. The wedding celebration had been completely transformed into a medical testimony about my fight for survival, a fight my family had dismissed as jealousy and attention-seeking. Rebecca, Dr. Williams said gently, we need you to come with us. The clinical trial coordinator is waiting to discuss your participation in the new protocol. This opportunity could change the trajectory of breast cancer treatment worldwide. Victoria stood helplessly in her wedding gown, finally understanding that her jealous sister was actually a medical phenomenon whose treatment response was significant enough to warrant international research attention. The car is waiting outside, Dr. Chen added. We'll have you back home later tonight, but this research opportunity has a narrow window for enrollment. As I stood to leave with the medical team, my family watched in silence. The elaborate wedding reception, the flowers, the champagne, the celebration of Victoria's perfect day, suddenly seemed trivial compared to the magnitude of what I'd been enduring alone. Rebecca, wait, Victoria called out, her voice breaking. I didn't know. We didn't understand how serious. I paused at the edge of the dance floor, looking back at the family who had treated my cancer as a social inconvenience rather than a life-threatening crisis. You knew it was cancer, I said quietly. You chose to treat it like jealousy instead of asking what you could do to help. You hid me behind plants because treatment side effects might ruin your photos. You called my fight for survival a little problem that was distracting from your special day. Dr. Chin placed a supportive hand on my shoulder. Rebecca's courage during treatment has been extraordinary. She's been facing potential death while being accused by her family of seeking attention. That level of strength is why her case is medically remarkable. As we walked toward the exit, I heard the wedding guests murmuring among themselves, finally understanding that the woman they'd seen hidden behind flowers wasn't dealing with health issues or being dramatic. She was a cancer survivor whose treatment response was going to help save lives around the world. The irony was perfect. Victoria's wedding day, which was supposed to be all about her, had instead become the moment when everyone learned that her jealous sister was actually the most remarkable person in the room. They had wanted me hidden and silent during their celebration. Instead, they got a medical presentation that exposed their cruelty while revealing my extraordinary strength. The wedding they'd planned as Victoria's perfect day became the day when everyone learned that the real success story in the family had been fighting for her life while they worried about flower arrangements. As the car pulled away from the reception hall, I realized I was finally free from needing their approval or understanding. The medical community recognized my strength and significance in ways my family never would.